With all the drama and controversy that surrounded the Oscars, when Will Smith stepped on the stage, walked up to Chris Rock and slapped him across the face for a joke that he made about Jada Pinkett Smith, a lot of people assumed, well, that's just going to save the Oscars. The ratings are just going to be through the roof now because this happened. Unfortunately for Hollywood, unfortunately for the elites, unfortunately for Disney and for the Oscars, that's not quite the case. Although it's a slight improvement from the all-time historic lows that we saw last year. Well, this year's Oscars ratings were good enough for the second worst in history, the second lowest rated Oscars of all time, and that shouldn't be a surprise because despite what happened near the end of the show with the Will Smith slap, again, for the people that thought, well, it was all just engineered to get good ratings, if that was the case, maybe they would have done that towards the beginning of the 3-hour show instead of, 45 minutes before the end, just a thought. But with all of the things that surrounded this year's Oscars, with all the hosts being left-wing activists, with Amy Schumer, Wanda Sykes, Regina Hall, with so much of the focus being on political hot-button issues, this is not a surprise. They have told normal people that they despise you, and people have walked away from it. And when you look at the actual numbers, there's other things that are pretty interesting in there, because although the Oscars did break a certain record, it had nothing to do with ratings. It had to do with social media interactions, because what happened after people heard that Will Smith had slapped Chris Rock in the face, people went to social media. Did they get a little boost? I'm sure they got a little bit of boost temporarily in their audience, but it wasn't much of one. All of the action was on social media. Oscar viewership hits final 2022 figure of 16.6 million, still second lowest ever. Ceremony breaks social media records with slap heard around the internet. And one of the things that's very interesting about this report that we'll get to confirm at the end of the week, whether this is true or not, according to Nielsen time slot breakdowns, the 2022 Oscars saw no noticeable surge in viewers after Will Smith took a whack at Chris Rock for his crack about Jada Pinkett Smith's hair. However, because this is 2022, not 1992, the ceremony blew the roof off when it comes to social media. No time slot specific metrics are available, which is weird. From what I've read, that should be available later this week to confirm, like, basically quarter hour, 15 minute by 15 minute, what the ratings were. And that should show us the exact numbers when it went from no slap to slap. That'll give us the real information. But even then, even the ones that people have been guessing about, this is what it looks like. Here are the Oscars at 9 million people watching, had dropped under 10. This is, I don't know how reliable this is. I saw that Umbrella guy tweet this out. It's from a source called Jacob King, Jacob Oracle. I don't know where he got these numbers. Not exactly sure where, because they don't quite line up when you think about it. But nevertheless, what they say is that it went from 9.6 to 17 million, that it spiked at 17 million when this happened. Even if the entire broadcast was 17 million, it would still be good for the second lowest in history. This was the chart we saw before this year, where you can see in 2014, they had 43 million people watching. For Titanic, back in like 1999 or 2000, they had over 50 million people watching the Oscars. And in that time, look at how much of the audience has fallen off. 10.4 last year, now we're at 16 million this year. Only the second Oscars to ever fall below 20 million people. This is an absolute failure. But it does say this: the Oscars saw a leap of 139% in social media activity. If you recall, not a lot of people were tweeting last year. Overall, this year's Oscars had a whopping 22.7 million total social interactions. So that's where they saw a big spike on social media. Unfortunately for advertisers, they don't fucking care about that. They don't care that we're tweeting out a video of Will Smith at the Oscars, because guess what? That doesn't mean that people are tuning in. That doesn't mean that they're gonna pay for these commercials, for these ad spots next year. That is not a good thing for the Oscars, an epic failure. But you knew that that's what was going to happen. The 2022 Oscars go down as the second least watched ever because of all the things we have at play. 3 female hosts who are completely unfunny and irrelevant, making cringe, terrible jokes. Of course, you had to slap at one point in time, but this award show is built on Hollywood elites congratulating themselves, circle jerking about left-wing politics, about left-wing activism. That's what it is. and that's just not popular. People do not want to tune into that, and that is clearly the result. And it started at the very beginning. The very beginning of the Oscars. This is the joke that got out there, immediately getting political and completely misrepresenting the Florida Parental Rights and Education Bill. Let's listen here.
And for you people in Florida, we're gonna have a gay night. Gay.
Pathetic. Sitting there and screaming gay, proving once again that no one in Hollywood has actually read the bill. They probably just heard that it was an anti-grooming bill and they're very upset about that. That's why they're hopping on board. And even before this happened, I really thought this was an interesting piece from CNBC. The Oscars ceremony was a mess even before Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. Sunday's 94th Academy Awards ceremony was already marred in controversy. Producers, so because no one's watching this, because people have tuned out, they had to change the way they did things. They tried to shorten it up. They tried to give a bunch of awards before it was actually live. They tried to do everything they could to condense it to make it more appealing for advertisers, because those are the people they're having trouble attracting. They had a hard time finding advertisers for this year's Oscars because they knew it was going to be extremely low rated. Fan-voted categories, live musical performances, and oddly upbeat in memoriam segments aren't likely to save the Oscars from poor ratings. And of course, we know what happened with the Academy having to come out. At one hand, a very weak condemnation of what Will Smith did that officially announced they're going to open an investigation and they're going to actually do something in regards to Will Smith and what happened. The bottom line is that regardless of what happened, the fact that this went viral on social media, that didn't have any significant impact on ratings. And in fact, it was the second worst rated Oscars of all time. Did they get a little bump? I guess we'll find out when they put out the official numbers. That's what this chart is saying. Again, shout out to that umbrella guy for finding this from Jacob King. We'll see officially in the ratings if this is what they say happened. They said there was really no noticeable bump. I find that a little hard to believe. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's the second lowest of all time. This is still a failure for woke Hollywood. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone. And a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.